Gentlemen, I have two fragrances here. Here I have Tom Ford Tuscan Leather, and here I have the Discontinued Tom Ford Tuscan Leather Intense. I'm going to compare these two fragrances to one another in terms of the scent profile to see if they're any similar or different from one another. I'm going to compare the performance, projection, the price, and finally I'm going to give both of these fragrances immense improvement rating to tell you which one I enjoy the most and which one of these I think is the most worth it. Let's not waste any more time and let's talk about these two fragrances here. Let's spray Tuscan Leather here on my left arm and let's spray Tuscan Leather Intense here on my right arm. So Tom Ford Tuscan Leather is going to be this very lively, slightly juicy but earthy, dirty leather fragrance. A lot of you guys might already know how it smells, but for the people who have never smelled this before, this is going to be a very dirty, earthy leather fragrance with a slightly juicy raspberry note at the top, which at the same time gives it this very dirty, round, earthy type of smell to the leather. I love this fragrance here. Let's have a sniff of the intense version. So the difference right when you spray the two fragrances is that the original is going to be more lively, more airy, but still very dense in terms of the scent profile, whereas the intense version is going to be denser, thicker, and just a little bit more complex. But I have an issue with top of the intense version. On my skin, it has this very weird, cheap energy drink type of top to it. It of course reminds you a lot of the original Tuscan Leather, but it has a slight fizziness to it with the added thickness and density that this has over the original. Gives it somewhat a weird energy drink type of smell to it, which at the same time smells familiar to the original. It's weird to describe and you might think that it's a weird comparison, but as soon as you get your nose on this one and think of a cheap energy drink, perhaps a Red Bull, you will know exactly what I'm talking about. And this not only appears on my skin, I also have a friend that I know which owns a full bottle of this stuff. He says that it reminds him of that as well. But as soon as it gets to dry after a few minutes, they become super similar, whereas I think the intense version is just a little bit denser and more complex in the dry down, but they still smell very similar. The intense version removes just a little bit of that earthiness that the original has and makes it slightly more of a dry yet smooth leather scent, but they still are very similar to one another with some adjustments, especially at the top and just a little bit at the base, which makes them just a little bit different from one another, and you can really smell the difference between the original and the intense version, while they'll still have this red line connection to one another where you can smell that they are meant to be familiar. Before I move on to performance and projection of the two, I want to quickly mention the prices of the two fragrances. This 10 ml magnetic cap atomizer from Tom Ford costs around $70, while this 10 ml here from an affiliate that I have called Perfume costs right now $42 because there's a 40% discount. Check out my affiliate link in the description in the comment section below, where you can still find this discontinued fragrance here in a 10 ml bottle right here, whereas a 50 ml of the original Tom Ford Tuscan Leather is going to set you back around $230 to $280, whereas a 50 ml or a bigger bottle than a 50 ml of the discontinued Tom Ford Tuscan Leather Intense is going to cost you $300 or above on the gray market. This is super hard to find elsewhere than at Perfume in these 10 ml decants that I can offer you here as an affiliate link in the comment section and the description below. Both very expensive, while the intense version is super hard to find. I want to move over to performance because these two fragrances are very similar in a great way on my skin, at least. The original Tuscan Leather on my skin lasts around around 10 to 12 hours, which is awesome to see, while the intense version on my skin lasts 12 plus hours. So both very similar performance wise, while the intense version lasts just a little longer on my skin. Whereas projection wise is a whole different story. The original Tuscan Leather projects on my skin way better than the intense version. The intense version projects on my skin much less than the original, and I think that might be because of a slightly higher density and thickness of this one, which might therefore sit a little closer on my skin. Even though performance wise the intense version is just a little bit better on my skin, the original projection wise is better on my skin. Gentlemen, I've mentioned everything important about these two fragrances here, from scent profile to performance, projection, and also price. Now I'm going to talk about my final opinion and ratings of the two fragrances here. Long story short, I love both of these fragrances. I think they smell amazing. I think the Tuscan Leather DNA is iconic, and I simply love the way both of these smell. I think that the original Tuscan Leather is slightly easier to wear compared to the Intense, whereas on my skin it's this slightly fizzy, weird, sticky energy drink type of top, whereas it dries much smoother. So I think they both have a time and place to be worn, and they both work really differently on everyone else's skin. But which one do I prefer? Well, I typically like the Intense versions more because they are usually stronger and slightly more complex, but in this case I actually like the original a bit better because not only is it cheaper, but on my skin it projects better, and since the Intense version lasts 12 plus hours whereas the original lasts 10 to 12 hours, I think the price is justified for this one, whereas the accessibility and possibly high price tag of the Intense might be a bit questionable. In terms of men's improvement ratings, I will give Tuscan Leather the original a 9.8 out of 10, whereas I'll give the Intense version a 9.7 out of 10. My taste personally leans over to the original just a little bit more. Still both two incredible fragrances that I think you should check out if you can, and if you want to get your hands on the Intense, check the links below. Gentlemen, have you tried any of these two fragrances here? Do you like them? Do you dislike them? Have you tried the Intense one? Are you planning on trying it? Leave your comments below. I would love to see your comments down there, and if you enjoyed this comparison of the two fragrances here, don't forget to smash the like button and subscribe to the Men's Improvement YouTube channel for more videos about fragrances, grooming, style, fashion, skincare, fitness, watches, everything that will make you, gentlemen, the best possible versions of yourselves. The last few things that I want to ask you, gentlemen, is to smile more because it's free, and I want you to watch these two videos right here. This one here below is going to be my latest upload, whereas this one up here is going to be a video that the YouTube algorithm thinks you will enjoy.